Hello everyone, welcome once again. What we have seen in last two parts of preparing a business document, we talked about how to put together the customer expectation requirements, and after we have converted them into the measurable inputs, and we have prioritized them, we put together them into a document called as project charter. Project charter, which primarily has six key elements like business statement, business case, problem statement, goal, scope, uh, key timelines, as well as the project team members. We discussed about these six key elements. We then talked about what is a problem statement, which talks about the synopsis of the entire process that you're going to work. What is the pain in the process? What exactly is customer saying? What is the current state? And the problem state does not have any blame, complaint, cribbing. It starts with a context. It has facts and figures, and it doesn't have any root causes, and it does not talk about any solution design part of view. So that's from the problem statement point of view. And when we talk about business case, we talk about the urgency and need to solve a problem. Why do we need to solve a problem? What if we leave it as it is? What if we delay it? Why should the organization invest in solving that problem? So those things we talk from the business case point of view. Now we have a business case ready. Organization is ready to invest into it. They're ready to provide resources, budgets, and so on. Then we talk about the goal. How much do we want to improve from where we are right now? And we talk about the timeline in that duration, how much we can improve. So that's all we put into a project charter in the three key elements: the problem statement, business case, and the goal statement. Now, once we have these three things ready, then we talk about the scoping of the process that we are going to work upon. Now, scope of a process to improve is very important to understand. A process may begin at certain end and end at a certain point. However, for the understanding of our process that we are going to work right now, the project that we have in place right now, it may not involve the entire process right now, because we want to start with a small part of the process, and that part we need to fix. We need to fix the boundaries. What is going to be in the scope of our project? What is not going to be in the scope of our project? So scope talks about those boundaries. In scope, it is easy to understand the process functions, the team, the geographies. In fact, a specific customer set, a specific business functions, what all is going to be part in the scope of the project. We definitely talk about it, and we write it that way, that these are the things as part of this process. Now, more than the in scope, what is more important is the out of scope. As most of the time people do a cardinal mistake of writing statement like this: anything which is not written in the in scope is out of scope of this process. And that's where the problem happens, because we cannot say like that anything that is not in the scope. So we have to be very, very specific when we write about what is not in the scope, as there have been multiple issues. So I'll give you an example. Long back, there was a consultant who went to work with an automobile company. This company makes cars. He was working to fix the front seat alignment of a particular model of a car in a plant. Now, when he discussed it with the plant manager, they said we have problem in the front seat alignment of the car. And he understood it, collected data, worked on it. After 3 months, he went back and he was giving a presentation to the senior leadership. And the senior leadership said, the moment he opened his presentation, they said, "What about the back seats of the car?" Now, he was stunned, little surprised, as they asked him, "What about the back seats of the car?" Then he said, "They discussed only the front seats with me, not the back seats." So we call it a scope creep, where the consultant and the organization could not align themselves on what should be the right scope of this particular problem. However, they would have discussed only the front seats, but what he missed, that the back seats are not separate in the car. They are the part of the same product. So that means there is a dependency of the front seat on the back seat also, because they both have to align. What I'm trying to say is, do not choose scope, or do not keep only those in scope which you think should be. If they have any dependency, or if they run a risk of being dependent on any other part of the process or part of the organization, they should be considered well before putting them into out of scope. So always look at the dependency and risk feature of any process that we are going to work. So that's from the scoping point of view. How should we choose a scope for the particular process? As you can see in this slide, we are talking about what kind of question as a project scope we should focus on. What are the starting and end point we talked about? What components of the business are included? What components of business are not included? What, if anything, is outside the project boundaries, which can be dependency, and what constraint must the team work under? So these are the key guidelines, I will say, from the scoping point of view. Moving from the scoping, another element of the project charter, which is the roles and resources, or you can say the project team. Now, project team here is again extremely important, because these are the people who are going to work on a project. Project team typically has a project sponsor who will assign the resources, allocate the budget, remove any challenges, will provide support wherever required. We'll have a project process owner or a project leader, and there will be a few members who will work with the project leader to carry out the project activities. There may be a champion, may not be a champion, not necessary, but if it's a big project, then you may expect a champion also to be on board. And so your team may include people who are from the operations. Your team may include people who are not from the operations, can be a black belt or a green belt, who might help you to carry out the Six Sigma framework, who can guide you and mentor you on the Six Sigma methodology. And there should be at least one or two subject matter expert who will explain the entire process, and these are the people who will carry out most of the work in terms of getting the data collected, or but when it comes to doing the Six Sigma, carrying out the Six Sigma activities, that's when project leader and everyone else will work. So it's basically a collaborative effort by everyone else in the team here. And then we talk about at the end the milestones. The milestones, when we are talking here, as you can see in these slides here, the key milestones in a project, in a typical project or into project charter, we'll talk about the key deliverables. In a Six Sigma parlance, if I speak, there are 5 phases: define, measure, analyze, improve, control. You can have those phases also as milestone, like when will the define phase get over, when will the measure phase get over. So we can always write a timeline. And if we have extended timelines where we can talk about detailed deliverables, like we'll prepare a charter, we'll assign the role and responsibility, we'll have a toll gate review. Even these are also deliverables in a Six Sigma project, so we can put the timelines accordingly. So that's how, these are the couple of key elements that we always look upon when we talk about the project charter point of view. We had so if I have to summarize all the 3 parts that we just looked at, we are talking about the 6 key elements. We are talking about the problem statement, business case, goal statement, scope, project team, and the key milestone. Problem statement, as I said, it should be measurable, it should have timeline, facts, figures, it should not have any root causes or solution, it should not have any complaint, cribbing, or blaming to anyone. Business case talks about why do we need to solve a problem, what is the urgency, what if we leave it as it is, what is the impact on the business, why should the business invest in it. That's a business case. Goal statement talks about how much do we want to improve from where we are, and when do we think we can improve. So we have to talk 2 things here, and the goal should be a SMART goal. And in the scope part, we talks about what is in the scope of this particular project and what is not in the scope of this project, what are the dependencies on other aspects of the business. So we write in scope and out scope, both of them in a very detailed manner, and we have to be very careful of the scope creep. If there are any specific risk or dependency, we need to identify them now so that they don't become a problem later on, and we may have to scrap the entire project. And then we talk about the project team, which typically has 4 to 5 members, and we have an SME, a project sponsor, project coach, and project team leader. These 4 to 5 people work typically in a team together to carry out the entire Six Sigma framework. While the job of a sponsor is to provide the resources, budgets, any other support whichever may be needed, and to remove any obstacle. And at the end, we have the project key milestone, wherein we talk about what are the key deliverables in a project, which can be either in terms of the 5 phases of the DMAC, or it can be detailed deliverables within each phase. For example, define phase has preparing a charter, collecting the customer requirement, converting them into measurable requirement, prioritizing requirements as we have discussed, preparing a charter as we just said, and assigning role and responsibility to each team member, and so on. So this way we can have deliverables for each phase, and so we can prepare the milestones, and we write the date in front of these milestones for each of the activity. That's how we can prepare a milestone. So this ends the discussion on project charter, and this is a cardinal document, a very important document that we must have for every project that we begin with. Without this document, the review or tracking the status will not be possible. So this is the most important document when you begin a Six Sigma project. So this is about the project charter. This is Shiven Sharma here. Thank you once again.